Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, Special Assistant to the Mayor for Community, Culture, and Belonging.
And I'm Andy, and I'm the Communications Manager for the city.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
This is a city special episode, and in this episode, we will hear firsthand experiences and discuss the evolving role of women in policing and law enforcement.
Yes, I always love it when we have episodes that we can highlight our team here at the city so you can learn a little bit more about how we serve Appleton. This week's guest is Lieutenant Meghan.cash, the Community Resource Unit Supervisor and Public Information Officer for the Appleton Police Department, and McKenzy Wagner, Police Community Engagement Specialist for the Appleton Police Department. Hey, Lieutenant Cash and McKenzy, how are we doing today?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks for making a little time for us here at Appleton Engaged. Can you please share a little something about yourself and your association with Appleton and the Fox Cities region?
Sure. So I'm actually a transplant from Minnesota and been living here for over 13 years now, have a family, kids, the whole works, and Appleton has just really become my home, and that's that connections I get to have in the community have really kept me here, and now I call myself an Appletonian.
That's awesome. McKenzy?
Perfect. Hi, thank you for having us again. I am also a transplant to the Fox Valley area. I've been here for about 4 years, almost 5 years now. Lived in Eau Claire for a while, lived up north in Rhinelander for a while, and found myself here. I'm finally to the point where I feel like I am part of this community and happy to be here, happy to be in this newish role for me still. So just good things all around.
Awesome. Can you please tell us about women in public safety and other community initiatives that you both are involved in right now?
Sure. So Women in Public Safety came about, this is our 4th annual year. It's a free event for women 15 to 21. And it was really driven by this idea that women need to see themselves in the roles that they want someday. And I can think back to kind of the brainstorming when this event came to be, was myself and now Chief Olson sitting in her office and saying, you know, if we would have known what we know now, if we would have had people in our lives that would tell us we could do this job, it wouldn't have taken us so long to find it. And so that's where the idea of this event came from. And with the 4th year now coming, bringing young women into the room with leaders in our community, that ability to mentor, give them experiences in all public safety professions is something that means so much to us.
Yeah, this is an amazing event. Honestly, for me, it's kind of like a full circle moment a little bit as well. When I first came to the Fox Valley, I worked for Fox Valley Technical College in the public safety realm. So I worked a ton with getting students recruited. And so now being able to like physically show them during this amazing one-day event of just all the possibilities they could have in a career is really exciting for me.
I couldn't agree more. Like, it's so important for our youth in particular to be able to see people like themselves and see representation so they can envision themselves into future careers that they're thinking about. So I think this is really awesome.
Yeah, it's been great to see, when we started the year one, it was at the police department, in the basement of the police department with a small group of young ladies, and just hearing just that first year, their experiences that they have in life, that they started the day kind of unsure about each other, unsure about being in the building. And then by the time they left at the end of the day, so many more questions, so many more, well, how could I do that? How did you get there? And so when we look at it now, as it's evolved over these last 4 years, the ability for not only the young women that are attending, but for the mentors. We pull in mentors from all local agencies that are actively working within those agencies to have that ability to be assigned to a small group of girls that follows them and guides them through those breakout sessions. That can be some really realistic breakout sessions throughout the day. They're getting exposed to the real life work. So not only are they able to experience that on some level, but they're also hearing those personal experiences from those mentors, and those mentors have said to us how much they've gotten out of those days, to where we're brainstorming, is there an opportunity for us to now expand this for those mentors? Because women make up less than 12% of law enforcement specifically in the nation. Leadership roles are about 3% across the nation of women in leadership roles in public safety for law enforcement specifically. And so, for someone like me who's now in a leadership role, that's very few people that are female in that role. And so just looking at how can we continue to support that, some of my biggest mentors have been men in those roles that have been advocates, but looking to save a seat for that next woman is that piece that this is really about, as well as just looking at that.
So Appleton Police Department have such great women leaders, including yourself, and I have always been very encouraged when I came to the city to work. And my first interaction was with Lieutenant.cash, and it was such a great thing to see a woman police officer who I can go to and just share my grievances or whatever I'm feeling. It just makes me feel more safe. So what kind of questions, Megan, are you hearing from the community, like from the girls or the ones who want to come to the law enforcement? What kind of challenges they think that stops them from applying?
So part of the day, which is, I think, my favorite part, are those questions, are the how do you do that? What do you do in this situation? Those what if questions has really been the thing that drives me to continue to figure out what can we do to make the next year better. And one thing that I noticed that was a constant theme was like, how do you do it? What are the steps that I need to take? And so while there's a component of encouragement and mentorship, one theme that came up last year was really that work-life balance. How do I maybe hold those traditional roles as a woman who wants to do certain things in my life, but how do I do that in that job? And so that's a lot of what we talk about as well. For myself, someone once told me that, there's going to be glass balls in life and plastic balls in life. And as a mother and as a working mother, I have 3 children, identifying which of those balls you can drop and knowing when they shatter, which one do you want that to be? Is it the work thing or is it the home thing? And you're never going to really know which one is which, but just constantly reflecting on that is something that we've really had as a theme of those days, of recognizing it's okay to fail, it's okay to ask questions, and that's why we're there. And that's really the thought process behind the day, is providing that long-term connection.
What are the ages of the young ladies that you're interacting with right now? Or at what point does this process start?
So for us, it's the ages 15 to 21 is what this day is meant for. It's really trying to have that impact, not so early on. We do a lot of programming within the schools for the younger age groups, but this is really that moment in time where people start to reflect on what is it that I might want to do someday, or maybe they're actively seeking out jobs. Maybe they're in that process. Maybe they're going to school. And a lot of what we talked about is, even if you don't want to go into public safety, even if this is something that you're like, I don't really have an interest in that, this is an opportunity for you to also attend and just learn more about what strong women in your community are doing and the impact that public safety can have on your life and the lives of others.
So my next question comes to, if somebody wants to go for the public safety route, what kind of courses they should take in their school or college? What kind of guidance they need in terms of taking the necessary training for this kind of profession to be, what you want to go with?
Yeah, so I think McKenzy could probably speak to it as well from her history with the Fox Valley Tech. But, we look for that college degree, that interest, again, if early on in an event like this, to be able to get that exposure to the world and have an understanding. I think back to my life, and I never saw a woman police officer doing the job that I'm doing now, and being able to just hear from somebody, doing those ride-alongs, finding that opportunity to talk with somebody actively working is much different than just hearing from a professor. And so really taking those classes geared towards communication and that ability to just communicate with others and conflict resolution, it's more about the personality and life skills than it is about the educational background.
Yeah, really, when you're looking at that from an education standpoint, because we offer it to so many, it's not just law enforcement, it's also EMS and fire protection and everything like that. So those courses can vary quite a bit, but really looking for that personality of wanting to help someone. The adaptability is a huge thing, especially when you think about the environments that they're going into. They need to be able to have that critical thinking skill and be able to act on that in a pretty quick manner, no matter which one of these departments you're going into. So it's really looking at that personality and then kind of forming where they want to be and then getting those technical skills as well.
McKenzy, you bring up a really good point, because when you say the term public safety, it's not just policing, correct? When you're doing this programming, are there other departments or other types of public safety individuals, ladies, that are part of this initiative?
Yeah, and that is probably one of my favorite things about this event is, yes, we are the ones that organize quite a bit of it, but we invite all the partners within the Fox Valley area. So we have members from AFD coming. We have APD obviously there. Grand Chute is invited, all these other different things.
Okay, McKenzy, I'm going to catch you right there, because you know what you just did.
What?
You just started throwing them acronyms now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I need you to spell out those acronyms for our Appleton Engaged listeners.
Yes, so obviously AFD is going to be your Appleton Fire Department. So we're inviting all those local agencies to essentially bring all those women together and really kind of like make an alliedship of like, these are all people that you can go to. And it's also one of my favorite events because it's not just your classic law enforcement or people in those classic roles, right? When people look at law enforcement, whatever it may be, they often think, oh, my only option is to be a police officer. And right, we all have that image of a classic patrol officer, and we ignore those other roles that are really integral to those departments. So whether it be, someone who is type of my job, right, where I'm not a patrol officer, but I do quite a bit in the police department with community engagement, or you have a role like Lieutenant.cash, or there's all these other specialized roles that go into that, or even like we have natural resources come, so those wardens and things of that nature. So it really is, we try to make it an all-encompassing event of like, wow, I didn't even know that was a possibility. I didn't even know that was a job. And that's why I get so excited about it, is because I think we get these images in our brain of exactly what those roles are. And this really gets to give them an eye-opening experience of like, oh my gosh, that would be exactly what I wanted to do, or I would be amazing in that role, or that'd be really cool, and kind of gives them that like aha moment a little bit.
So women are breaking barriers here, but I want to also know, like, what are some of the myths around or stereotypical ideas around this profession? When you already touched upon that, people think, oh, I might not have a good balance of life, work and life balance, and how much truth is there, and what kind of mindset one should have when they're entering into these professions? Because there's a public safety and public service component to this job too.
Absolutely. So I think, for all of our new officers, that's a conversation that we have, that the differing voices in the room matter. And when we look at that response for law enforcement, that ability for our neighborhoods to see different people in their neighborhoods providing that public service is absolutely critical for us to continue to change with our community as it changes. And so for me and this event and this ability for us as a department to just reflect on that there are times where women, police officers, are responding to a call for service where that could be life-changing for that victim or impact that ability to provide a statement. But it's really about the teamwork that happens. It's about the ability to say, I can still think back to some of those first years I had as a patrol officer working in the downtown district at nighttime. I'm not a large statured person, and we recognized the skill set that each and every one of us had on that shift, and knowing when to utilize those skills. And so as a department, when we look at deploying resources, is recognizing what are the needs and how can we utilize those as best as we possibly can, and knowing yourself. And that's a lot of what we try to talk about and have as an underlying theme for this event is being your unique self. As weird as that can be, we want you to lean into that, because the skills that make you who you are is why you're an officer at the Appleton Police Department. And that's why when we look at those educational backgrounds, we're not necessarily looking that you went to criminal justice for your education. We're looking that you have life experience that is going to allow you to get to someone's level and have that understanding that today is their worst day, and you're willing to sit with them in that and then help them through that and also provide that service that our community expects.
I think that's a powerful perspective.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Now that you've ran this for 4 years, correct? What is the thing that these young ladies who participated in, what are they most surprised by? Like, what didn't they see coming, or what didn't they understand prior to being part of this?
I mean, I can speak for mine, and McKenzy may have last year was her first year at the event, and so there might be a different perspective. But what I think I see is that they're surprised by how much women in law enforcement do in the profession, right? They assume that we have a desk job, or they assume we fit into a different box, or something they saw on TV. And they're shocked when we say that there's women canine handlers, there's women on the negotiator teams, there's women working in SWAT. And I think that's the perception that we're working to change, that women can hold those roles, some of those untraditional roles for women, and they fit within that. And that standards aren't changing. We're not changing the standards because you're a woman to be in those roles, but that you can meet those standards and then exceed them in so many other categories.
Yeah, I thought the biggest eye-opening experience for me, because like she said, last year was my first time attending this event and helping run it, was that I think the girls come in with a very, not limiting or anything like that, but they come in a little bit more reserved, and all of a sudden you see them throughout the day just like truly blossom and like all of a sudden form these relationships and realize that these women in leadership are not much different than themselves, right? You're having really candid conversations, you're asking questions, and realizing that not only the people in the room have the same question than you, but that these people who are on the panelists or your mentors or whatever have these answers, and they go, oh yeah, I went through that. And so it's really just, I think, kind of a comforting feeling for them to be like, oh wow, they're just like me, or they think just like I do, or whatever that may be. So I think it really come out a little bit more reserved, and then just really come from the day like having gained those relationships and also just feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Now my question is, which is also a fun question, spring and summer months are here. What all signature events would you be participating in where people can come and just learn more?
So spring and summer are our busiest times. Obviously, our community kind of blossoms as spring comes, and that's something that's so exciting, especially for myself and McKenzy. That's our world, the community engagement components of our job. That's the fun parts that I look forward to. So we have everything from the city celebration coming up, neighborhood watch events that are going to be happening. We continue to get requests from community members. It seems like every day there's something new, there's some other event that we're going to be at. And so for us, it's really trying to find ways for us to uniquely connect with our community. And so in addition to, our readings that we do at the Boys and Girls Club and Longcheng Market and all of these community events that are ongoing throughout the year, it's really embracing what our city has going on, finding a way that we can fit into that so that anybody in our community isn't seeing us for the first time responding to their crisis, but we're seeing us having fun with them at an event.
Yes, there's also a ton going on kind of in the background as well, too. Like she said, we're getting all of those tons of community requests, which is great. And they start coming in like as soon as January 1st hits. We're also doing a lot with our canine unit this year. If anyone's been paying attention to our social media, we have about 3 new canines on site, which is amazing and also a huge undertaking. So you're going to see a lot more canine events happening throughout the community. We have a brand new canine board that are very excited to get things done, which is awesome. But that's a lot that's going on. Like she said, city celebration, and you'll just see us really out and about in the community this summer.
Oh, I'm looking forward to those events, especially the canine ones. So share a narrative or narratives that will help listeners understand the importance of the work you do.
So I can say earlier this year, or last year, I should say, earlier in 2024, as we kind of were beginning that planning process, I had a mother reach out to me and say, my daughter attended your event, and she is now just past her training in some branch of the military. And for my daughter, this would have never been something she ever considered. But she attended your event. She felt confident after leaving, and she explored something that we are so incredibly proud of. And for me, it's those moments, right? It's that impact, that ability to know that she felt more confident when she left, that she's a stronger woman because of that, that really she's wherever she is, we're going to be in her corner and cheering her on.
We hear a lot of stories that although this is a one-day event, the opportunities continue besides that. We've had quite a few of those members do internships. One of them did an internship at the dispatch center, which is awesome, and they always need employees and feel like they're always hiring. So that was awesome. And then we had one other participant who went on to work for Fond du Lac Police Department, and she is currently in the academy. So that is just like all of those feel-good things of like, yes, this did what it was supposed to, and we like hope it had that long-lasting impression.
How often does this event get to occur?
So it's a once a year event, typically in the springtime. We have, take the year to try to plan it, year to try to bring in those applications. And that's why right now we're definitely in that space of we need to get those applications in. We want to be able to make this a curated experience for those attendees, that we're driving what they want to get out of that event. And so that's where the applications coming in early are helpful for us, so we can make sure that we identify what themes we're seeing and then drive the content that way.
And what does that application process look like, and how many young ladies do you pick?
So that is open to 50 young ladies. And so you can actually go, there's a couple different ways you can find it. There's obviously a Facebook event that links you right to that application. You can also go onto the brand new Appleton website where you can scroll all the way down and you'll find that application also linked.
Is there a cost?
That's the best part, that we offer this for free.
Wow.
We want this to be never a barrier for people who are interested. So we try to, as long as we can, we will make this a free event. So we're always looking for donors, anything like that. We had some awesome donors in the community this year, but it is always something that we are aiming to do. We want to keep this a free event for those participants.
And what's the deadline on that?
So the deadline's coming up real soon, obviously, with the event April 2nd. We need some time to be able to process those. So, the next week or so is going to be that deadline of getting in that application. We know we always have a couple that slide in at the very last minute, but really to provide that best experience for people, we want to make sure you get your application in as soon as possible.
Now, hearing about like how impactful this initiative is and just the cool things that it's doing for our youth, particularly our ladies, our young ladies out there, what can the community do to be helpful?
So this is entirely a event that from the start of planning to the end, we seek out funding for it. It's not something taken from any place within the Appleton Police Department or the city. So we were very lucky this year that Unison Credit Union stepped up and said, hey, we'll help fund this. How can we sponsor? The Women's Fund, we're continuing to partner with them over the course of the last few years to find ways to continue to make this sustainable. That's the biggest barrier right now, is really finding not only the ability to fund this to just solely have all of that money dumped back into the day of feeding people and providing the necessary items that they need for that day, but also be able to allow participants to leave with something that is a long-lasting memory for them. So each year we look for something that we think will have an impact for them long term, that they can take with them and remember the moments that they had that day.
Is there any volunteer opportunities?
So currently we try to run as bare bones as we can when it comes to the actual day itself, and making sure that it's being hosted at the Public Safety Training Center with instructors that are familiar with that. And so from that perspective, no, but we are always looking for volunteers at the Appleton Police Department. We have a very robust volunteer program. And so anybody who would be interested in getting involved in this event in the future, absolutely reach out to us and we'll get you connected through that program. And then we would absolutely love to have you, after you're an APD volunteer, to come out and help support the event.
So who can people contact if they want to learn more? I know your Facebook is one of the main medium, but can you tell us about all the other social media platforms and other ways to learn about you?
Yes. Contact us anyway if you are interested in this event. But you can always reach out to myself. So either just by calling our non-emergency line at APD, you can get connected to me. Just ask for McKenzy. My email is definitely out on our website as well, too. So please feel free. I will always see your Facebook message, so feel free to reach out that way as well. And then you can always reach Meghan.cash. She is happy to take those phone calls, messages, whatever it may be, and we will get you connected to the right people.
And we will be sure to put contact information in the podcast notes, Appleton Engaged listeners. So you can just look in our notes and that'll have the ways to reach APD. Is there any additional information that you want to share at this time that maybe we didn't ask a question about?
I think that when I look as an employee of the city, the opportunity that the city allows us to have and host an event like this to pull in so many community partners, the ability for us to continue that collaborative work on that higher level is something that we're very lucky to have. And I think from the component of if you're thinking about anywhere within the city, finding a job and you see a posting, having events like this and that they're supported at that level is something that is truly special about our community and special about the community partners that we have here in Appleton.
Now it's the shout out times. Who do you want to send your shout out to?
One shout out I would like to give is to actually Fox Valley Tech's Public Safety Training Center. They hosted us last year and are hosting us this year again. And if you've ever gotten the chance to be out there, you know that that is an amazing facility. And the amount of hands-on experience these girls get to actually do is just amazing and really compacts like what that role would look like. So a huge shout out to them because it's just an awesome facility to host us at.
For me, I think the shout out's going to all the participants that we've had in years past. And this year, the ability to show up, be vulnerable, be able to have those conversations, and obviously those mentors and the people that continue to support this event. We are so lucky that we can provide this in this raw emotion that happens through some pretty cool events throughout the day. Very happy that we can continue to do this.
Well, at this time, we're going to start wrapping up the episode. So first we want to say to Lieutenant Cash and McKenzy, thank you. To our Appleton Engaged listeners, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for caring about another amazing community resource, helping to make Appleton a better place. We appreciate the time that you put in listening and learning and being a great community member. As you already know, we are trying to become the #1 podcast in Northeast Wisconsin, but we can't do it without your help. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, as you're listening, if there's questions you would like us to ask, let us know. If there are people or programs you would like us to interview, let us know. Or if you would like to come sit here on Appleton Engaged and share about your resource, let us know. And you can reach out to us at belonging@appletonwi.gov. Once again, that is belonging@appletonwi.gov. Also, as we strive to become this #1 podcast, we also know that this is its own amazing resource. And the more eyes and ears and community members that get a chance to learn about these other resources, the stronger our community becomes. How do we get in front of more eyes and ears? Well, it's called analytics. So while you take the time to listen, go ahead and give us that 5-star rating, hit the subscribe button, or take a few extra moments and just go ahead and fill out a full review. These are all things that will increase our analytics. The better our analytics are, the more eyes and ears get to learn about this amazing resource known as Appleton Engaged Podcast.
Thank you, McKenzy. Thank you, Megan, for coming here and sharing the incredible work you do behind the scenes in the uniform. Without the uniform, women are ruling. See, I'm biased here, but I have to say that. We hope this conversation sparks awareness, appreciation, and inspiration for the next generation of public safety. Please go to appletonwi.gov and head to Police Department page. Learn more about the program and stay connected. Ask questions so that you can be part of the next generation of women leaders. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.